In the last stream, we were working on setting up this blood magic ritual down here to allow us to head on through to the edge of the hidden realm. And since the end of last stream, I have been working on getting us ready to build the tier 4 blood altar, because that was the whole point of last episode. We were working towards getting these large bloodstone bricks via the weak blood shards here to allow us to build the tier 4 altar. And it turns out that because I misplaced the tier 3 altar, initially we were going to build it lower, but then I accidentally placed these too high, and then because I didn't want to have to break and recreate the glowstone, we moved the whole altar up by 1. But that means that now building the tier 4 altar is actually much easier because we already have the altar in the right place. All we have to do is cut out these blocks here, ideally the right blocks though. I did one too many because the ladder was broken, which is not what I wanted to do. We are going to have to move that ladder if we want to be able to get down in the future, but that's not going to be a problem. All we need to do now though basically is throw down 28 blank runes. They don't necessarily have to be blank, but we're going to use blank runes just because we don't need any other runes just yet, and because they are super easy to make. All we need to make 28 blank runes is 28 blank slates, which we have, along with any kind of blood orb and a bunch of stone. Between episodes, I did go ahead and make a bunch of stone. We don't want to use andesite, we want to use a regular stone here, and we should be able to make, look at that, 29 blank runes. Nice. And so if we go ahead and throw all these down, once they're down, all we should have to do is put down a little bit more in the way of stone bricks here, and then cap those stone bricks with the large bloodstone blocks that we got at the end of the last episode, and with that, we should have a fully functioning tier 4 altar. Let me quickly see if we can't get these ones replaced here. I didn't break those a second ago because I don't really want the water flowing everywhere, but if we do something like this, it should now just be regular stone bricks. So, how much stone do we have left? The answer is none. That's fine. We can take a stack of cobblestone out of here and drop it onto our little smoking table. And then as far as the bloodstone bricks go, we have them right here. And so as soon as these are smelted, boom and boom. I am being told by the Twitch chat that we could have used any block here. Apparently it doesn't necessarily need to be stone brick, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and boom. We already have the stone brick now, so I feel like we might as well get these guys placed down. And boom, there we go. We have completed the tier 4 structure, and now, if we take our divination sigil, we should be able to right-click and see that we now have a tier 4 altar. Nice. And so, with that, there's now a couple of things that we can do. The first thing we can do is fix our flooring over here, like so, and another thing that we can do is we can set up a tranquility altar to produce quite a large bonus in terms of the amount of LP that we get whenever we sacrifice. That is something I want to do today. I'm thinking that I will probably look at getting rid of this altar down here. I don't think that we're going to have to go back to the hidden realm. What we'll probably do is head on through, grab a few more of the items that I left previously, and then get rid of the portal. And then my plan later in this episode is going to be to set up an incense altar down here, quite a big multi-block incense altar, to give us a massive increase in the amount of LP that we get for every sacrifice that we do. But before we get started with that, I'd like to take a step back here and look at setting up a mob farm. The reason for that is that there are quite a few things in the pack that we currently can't make that I think would be tremendously useful if we had things like ender pearls. And so to rectify that, we can set up a fairly easy mob farm, especially given that we've already made a lot of the items required for the mob farm to function, such as the mob masher, the mob fan, and the absorption hopper, all of which we made a few episodes ago now as part of this quest right here. So, if we want to get a mob farm going, we need cursed earth. At least that's going to be the fastest way for us to generate mobs. We could just set up a dark box somewhere and that would technically generate mobs by the looks of it, but I think that getting a cursed earth mob farm is going to spawn the mobs in quite rapidly and going to give us just a lot more mob drops. And for that, we need GM cursed chicken feed. For this, it's actually not too bad of a craft. We need 1 panda seed, 1 pig seed, 1 sheep, cow, chicken, and wolf seed. Most of that doesn't seem too difficult, and in fact, we probably have a few of those already. We already have pig, we already have cow. I don't think we have panda. I think I lost that seed, so that's fine. But that means we just need to get the other 4 seeds to make this happen. So chicken, wolf, sheep, and panda. Chicken is the only one we've not made so far, but really it's not too bad. A lot of these just require nature essence, and of course, nature essence is really not too hard for us to get. So long as we have a spare inventory slot here, we can hopefully just kind of shift all of these in and all of these out very quickly. They only take 200 millibuckets of life points per, and of course we can get more bamboo very easily if we need it as well. And so a chicken seed just requires a diamond at the center. The wolf seed requires a bone block at the center. For that, we're probably going to have to use the composter again. That's fine though. The sheep seed requires white wool at the center. We can make that by crafting 4 string together, which we do have. Fantastic. And then, boom, that gets us the sheep seed. And then the panda seed is, of course, just that block of bamboo in the middle. Again, not going to be a problem for us. Boom, there is our panda seed. And so now it looks like we're just missing 2 more nature essence, which, again, we can get with 2 more bamboo, 1 and 2. And then all we need after then is just the bone block, and we should have our composter over here, and we do still have a staggering number of wheat seeds. And so real quick, we do also have this this bone here, which I guess we could crush into quite a few bone meal, which might not be a terrible idea because it does take a little bit of time to get the bone meal using the composter. It's not particularly difficult, but I think it might be a little faster if we throw this bone over into the mob crusher, especially given that the whole point of the setup that we're about to make is that it's going to give us bones passively going forward anyway. And so I feel like we might as well spend this bone real quick to get some bone meal. Fantastic. And then let's quickly go ahead and use our seeds here to get the remaining 5 bone meal. And once we have 9 bone meal, let's do one of these to get the block, and let's get the wolf seed. Nice. So now we do, I think, have everything to make the GM chicken feed. Before we do that, though, we are going to have to use the GM chicken feed on a chicken in order to actually get this rotten egg. So for that, we're going to have to grow 1 chicken at the very least. And so let's go ahead, throw down the chicken seed in here, and then if we grab our watering can, we probably want to fill this up, but we should, of course, be able to use that watering can to accelerate the growth of a chicken. And then once that chicken is fully grown, we should then be able, ideally, to pick that seed back up and use it in the crafting of the GM chicken feed. So the good thing about the Anchor's accumulator here is that it allows me to fill up the watering can much faster than just right-clicking a water source multiple times in a row. And essentially, we're going to do the same thing here a few more times here until we have a chicken. Okay, so I've already grown 1 chicken, but I've got a second one here just to be safe. Again, Ultimine, right-click, and then if we just break the seed, we pick it up. Nice. You do want to make sure you break the chicken seed when it is when there's no growth on it, essentially. If you break it when the seed is fully grown, you'll just get a chicken, you'll destroy the seed. If you pick it up when it is empty, like I just did, just after you harvest a chicken, you should get it back, I think, every time. Either way, boom and boom, we have the GM chicken feed. And now, if we feed that GM chicken feed to, I believe, what has to be a fully grown chicken, we should be able to get a rotten egg. Now, the process of getting the rotten egg does kill the chicken. And so what I think we can probably do here is breed these 2 chickens together. We can use, obviously, our plethora of wheat seeds to make these guys grow, hopefully in less than 20 seconds. And once they're grown, we can give them each a seed, of course, to breed them and get another chicken. And then from there, we can give this cursed chicken feed to one of the pre-existing chickens to get the rotten egg. We're probably going to want to get more than 1 rotten egg as well, simply due to the fact that over here, what we're going to want to do here is take our dirt and ideally take a building wand, place the dirt down, like so, and then you right-click the rotten egg onto the dirt to transform it into cursed earth. Now, as it mentions on the tooltip here, it does a 5x5 area. And whilst our area is 5 deep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wide, which is unfortunate because that would mean we'd need 3 eggs in total if we wanted to fully cover this area, which is not ideal. I don't think the cursed earth spreads, unfortunately, but I think we're going to want to go for at least 2 eggs, if not a 3rd egg. So what we'll do over in here, we'll breed these 2 guys together. Let's do 1 and 2. That should get us a chicken. It does. Then we'll give this guy the GM chicken feed. I'm going to move him out of the way because I think it might actually have a negative effect on the other chickens if they're close by. Because he does kind of, I don't want to say explode, but, you know, some bad stuff happens. And so, ideally, I think we might want to get another rotten egg here to fill this area. And 1 more GM chicken feed later, we should be able to, once again, convert one of our chickens here. I am not actually sure if this chicken is still on a breeding cooldown, because again, ideally, if we want to not have to make more chicken seeds in the future, ideally we should accelerate the growth of this chicken down to 20 seconds, and then we should try and breed these 2 together again. We did get an egg, which didn't get us a chicken, unfortunately. Now, we are going to have to make this area over here dark, because if the cursed earth sees the sunlight, it will burn and turn back into regular dirt, which is not ideal. And so we're probably going to go ahead and grab some tinted glass, not the vanilla tinted glass. We're going to go with the mob grinding utilities tinted glass, because it is easier to make. It is 5 coal and 4 glass. Glass-wise, we've only got 17. However, as per usual, we can take some of the gravel out of here. And again, this chest is completely full now, which is causing a bit of a hassle for us, because it means now whenever I try and take anything out of the sifter, I end up just taking all of the stuff that's not gone into the chest, like all the backlog. But basically what I was going to say is we can take our gravel, and we can, of course, just run that through the crushing wheels here to get more sand, and then we can put that sand onto the smoking depot in order to get more glass, and then we can craft that glass, of course, with the charcoal, all the coal, in order to get the tinted glass, which we're going to use basically all the way around the mob farm. It doesn't need to be glass or tinted glass. You could just use regular blocks, but I think it would look nicer with some kind of tinted glass so we can see what's going on inside. Over here, let's see if we cannot feed these guys and get them to breed. We totally can. Nice. And once we have our backup chicken, let's leave, and let's give one of these guys here some chicken feed. Nice. Okay, so we'll hold on to these eggs for now, and we'll go ahead and put down the glass around here. And then once that glass is down, we're then going to use the mob fan to push the mobs towards the mob masher. The mob masher is basically going to kill the mobs as it spins. The mob fan pushes mobs in the direction it is facing, can be modified with fan upgrades. So the fan upgrades are going to be required here, or we're going to have to make multiple fans, one of the two. So there's a fan width, a fan height, and a fan distance modifier. So the distance and height mons are not too difficult, but they do require a lot of feathers. Feathers we can make using the alchemy table. The other one here has been made different, I guess. You need a full fan to make a width upgrade. So we kind of have a choice. I think by default that the fan pushes, I want to say 7 blocks. If I put this down and I get a lever, we can give this a little bit of a test. If I do this and turn it on, it's going to start pushing. And it pushed me to here. So if I step onto this block, it pushes me back. So this block is too far. So it does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it pushes them to the 7th block. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this block here is where it would push it to. I'm pretty sure if I put the mob masher here, a mob would get pushed into that area. People are also telling me it might show the range. Oh, look at that. It totally does. That's very helpful. So it shows me how far it goes. So a width upgrade would increase the width that it pushes at, so it would allow it to do these two. I think 1 width upgrade would take it up to 3 wide, and then 2 would take it up to 5 wide, and then a length upgrade would extend it this way. So I think what we want to do is we probably want to get a second fan, one like this, and that just requires a block of redstone. That's not a problem at all. We're going to put that fan, most likely, over here. That fan is then going to blow towards the mob masher. The mob masher is in our inventory. We'll put that down right about here. And so this is where all the mobs are going to get killed, right? And so if we, again, show area here, that's just going to push them directly into the mob masher. We want this fan, I think, to be further back. And again, because we only have 2 eggs, we're not going to be able to cover this entire area. And so what I think we'll do to mitigate that is we'll kind of put the fan here, and then we'll look at making 2 width upgrades and enough length upgrades to get it all the way down to the end. And we'll maybe just fill in these blocks here and here so mobs don't end up there. And then this area here is 10 by 5, and so it should be perfect for these rotten eggs. And so let's go ahead, grab the sand here, which I guess did almost despawn. And then let's see, do we have what it takes to make at least a little bit of tinted glass? We do. 16 is not much, but essentially what I think we will do is basically put the tinted glass down around like this, and then we'll probably use some more dark oak, at least for the time being, to build the corners in like this. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't need to go that high. We only need to go high enough, really. 1, 2, 3, 4 for Endermen to spawn. And Endermen are 3 blocks tall. And so making this 4 blocks tall should be perfect. And a fair bit of tinted glass later, we now have a little dark box ready to be a mob spawner. There are just a few things left for us to do. The first is to get levers onto these mob farms. On top of that, we do want to be able, of course, to change the range on this. So I'm going to get 2 width upgrades, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 length upgrades, I think, is going to be ideal. So the width upgrade is the easiest, I think, of the upgrades in terms of the fact that it's just a fan that we're going to go and kaplunk using our mechanical press. So I'll put that down over here. preferably onto the depot, like this. And boom, we get a width upgrade. We do want 2 of those width upgrades, though. And so real quick, let's do this, this, and this. If I'm not mistaken, that should increase our width to 5 blocks. I think it's 1 block in each direction per width upgrade. It is indeed. Nice. And then now we want to get those 5 length upgrades in order to get us all the way down to the other fan that's going to push towards the mob masher. So the length upgrades, which are actually called distance upgrades, are a little trickier. We're going to need 20 feathers, which means we need 20 string, which is fine because that's just 20 lots of 4 sticks. And 20 string later, we can go ahead and throw that into the alchemy table, and that's going to produce for us the 20 feathers needed for those distance upgrades. Whilst we wait for those, back over here, there are a few things we can do. The first thing we need to do is we need to put some kind of redstone signal down on the mob masher, because right now it's not doing anything. If I walk into it, no damage is taken. However, if I were to go ahead and place a block of redstone underneath it, it now starts spinning, and now if I were to walk into it, I would take damage. I think I can do it safely. I don't think I'm going to take too much damage. Not yet, at least. And we do have a full set of diamond armor, but it's now going to deal damage. What we're going to do next is we're going to take our absorption hopper, and we're going to put that on the outside of the mob farm. Let's say right about here. And then I think we will put down an intermediary chest beneath that absorption hopper, like so. With the absorption hopper, we're going to set down to items. So now any items dropped within the range of the absorption hopper, and we can click show area here to show the area. So any items dropped within this yellow box are going to get picked up by the absorption hopper and placed into this chest. What we're then going to do is we are then going to go ahead and make an import cable from Simple Storage Network, this guy right here. We could even go for a filtered import cable if we wanted to, which shouldn't be too difficult actually. It's just a barrel, which just needs some planks as per usual. It doesn't like to pull in any plank that's not oak. That's fine. We'll do this and this. That gets us a filtered import cable, which we can then place onto the bottom of this. And then from there, if we get a few more regular network cable, which again is just the blood orb, we should then be able, I guess we need a higher tier blood orb for that. Do I have it in my backpack? I do not. Do I have it in here? I do. Okay, let's try that again. Can I get some regular cable with this guy? I totally can. If we make some more regular cable, we can then run that along to our pre-existing cable in order to import everything that is generated inside of the mob farm back around into the colossal chest. The tricky part is just running this underground, which is going to be difficult. We could run it overground, obviously, but I think it's going to look nicer if we can run it under the platform. Basically kind of run down from here on this side and then kind of run it across and over here on this side, which is going to be doable, but like I said, just a little tricky. Okay, so I ended up just digging out the floor temporarily to allow us to throw down this cable here, and then we can connect that up there, actually. We don't need to connect it up in the bank. We've also got a wandering villager who's here to make my life harder, I think, in terms of putting this back down. I don't think he's really trading anything of value, but basically over here, anything that is put in this chest should now be imported back around into the colossal chest, and therefore should be accessible by our system. We have managed to get one friend in here. That is completely fine. I do think I have some more tinted glass. I don't. Okay, so I'm going to have to make a little bit more tinted glass so that we can fill in the last few blocks over here. We've got 6 blocks spare. So you know what? We're going to need one more batch. That is completely fine. And then from there, as I mentioned before, we need 2 levers, which means 2 more cobblestone so that we can get both of these fans online. Back over here, speaking of fans, we should have enough feathers to make 5 distance upgrades. Or 7 distance upgrades. I guess we had more feathers than I expected. That's completely fine. If I put all 5 of those into here, we can then, ideally, push all the mobs over to where they need to be pushed. I think that's right. Let me hide this area real quick. Yeah, no, that's correct. It's going to push them all the way down. Perfect. So, let's go ahead and turn that off. I am going to put the 2 levers down. I'm not going to turn them on just yet because, of course, we do want to get everything else up and running first. Thankfully, you do get the tinted glass back when you break it like this, so I can quickly head out, and we can put this lever on. This is fine, because we're not going to stand in that front row. Then, we'll fill this in, and we can begin placing down our rotten eggs. Let me be extra safe here. We'll do this, we'll do this. We're going to run out here. I'm going to go in by 1, 2, 3. So right here, we're going to put our first egg down. That's a 5x5. And then we're going to get out of there. Whoops. That was not my intention. We do still need to go back in if we're going to put the other one down, but they spawned in very quickly. If we turn this fan on, that's going to push them all down to the edge there, which is perfect, and they get killed. So the general premise works. What I need to do, though, is I need to right-click my second egg here. Nice. And as expected, we do have one strip of non-cursed earth at the end there. We do also have, annoyingly, a bit of a hole in our roof here, which is not ideal. Let me temporarily fill that in with dirt, just because if we don't, the cursed earth is going to start to burn, which is not ideal. I am going to replace that, of course, with some more of these crimson planks, which is perfect, actually, because we need more crimson planks to fix the main floor as well. So let's do something like this. And again, using the re-chisel, we can re-chisel these into the same pattern that we're using everywhere else. That should allow us to fill in the floor here. We're going to have to deal with this guy in just a second, but we can do that to fill those in, and then we can also go and fix the roof up here as well. But that's essentially the mob farm kind of taken care of. And if my ears don't deceive me, I think we did just hear a Enderman getting killed as well. There are some mob drops there. That's because the creeper exploded there, which was, of course, not intentional. But let's have a look over here. How is this doing? It's getting the items. They're all being imported, which is perfect. If we check the system, we do now have 2 ender pearls. Nice. Now, what we can do, if we want, is we can look at upgrading the mob farm to get more mob drops from it. Not that I think it's going to be strictly necessary, but if we type in @mob grinding utilities, there are these upgrades over here which increase the different aspects of the mob masher. There are these upgrades over here which all have different effects on the mob masher. For example, we can get looting upgrades. You can put in up to 10 of these, and 10 looting upgrades is going to just increase the number of mob drops that we get from the mobs that are killed. And this one's actually real easy to make. It just needs gold nuggets, which we can make in abundance. And so I feel like we might as well make 10 of these and just throw them into the mob masher. Perfect. Let's do that. Let's get rid of this block of glass, again, temporarily, whilst we put the looting upgrades in. Perfect. And then, ideally, we want that tinted glass back, but I assume it's been picked up by the absorption hopper. That's fine. And so now we're just going to get more drops from the mob masher. We could also put sharpening upgrades in. This is a bit more expensive. It requires quite a bit of iron in the form of swords. We need 40 swords if we want to do all 10. We could do that, but I think, to be fair, we probably don't need to. We don't need a ton of mob drops. We just need, really, some ender pearls coming in. And we've already managed to get 7. I don't think we need thousands of ender pearls. So I think for now, this is kind of just fine. Going forward, if we find that we need more, obviously, I plan on moving the smeltery, by the way. This is not its final resting place because it looks horrendous currently. But right now, I think this mob farm is doing the trick and is getting us the ender pearls that we need. And so for the last part of today's episode, I think we can look at upgrading our incense altar here with a large amount of tranquility to hopefully get a massive increase to the amount of life points that we get every time we use the blood altar. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the incense altar and we're going to put it further down here. So a little bit of fall damage. My plan, like I said earlier, is going to be to kind of get rid of the portal that's here, this thing, and we're going to put the incense altar up pretty close, I think maybe right here, to the blood altar, because it needs to be close enough to where if we are at the top, and let me give this a test. If we are up, obviously this needs work, we need to move the ladder, but if we're up here, we need the altar to be close enough that the sacrificial knife is active. And you'll see that right here, it is. The knife is active, which means the altar is close enough. If the altar is too far away, then it doesn't work. But for us, if we right-click, it works. Right now, if we hold our divination sigil and we go and look at the altar, we can see that we're only currently getting plus 20 in the top left there. So we're getting 20% extra, I believe, every time we use it. Yeah, if you right-click, current tranquility is 0, and 20% is the bonus. And so what we can do here is we can expand this out. If we look at the book, actually, this will show us what we're going to do. Where is my sanguine sentium? Here it is. If we go to the incense altar and we scroll right to the end, something like this is what we're going to set up. The bigger the altar, the more tranquil it is, and the higher tier path you use, the higher the percentage increase. All the way up to 300%. 300% being the increase, which means if you were going to get 100 initially, you would get 300 more, taking you to 400 total. And so right now, we get 200 LP or 200 life essence per heart that we use when we use our dagger. With this current altar, we get an extra 20%, which is an extra 40, so it goes up to 240. If we were to get all the way up to a maximum tranquil obsidian path altar, that would give us a 300% bump, which would be 600 life points on top of the 200 that we get initially for 800 per heart. And again, our dagger does 9 hearts at a time, and so if it's 800 per heart multiplied by 9 hearts, we would get 7,200 life points per usage, and that doesn't even factor in the bonus life points that we get from our runes of self-sacrifice. Now, we're not going to be able to get all the way up to the 300% today because the obsidian path requires a tier 5 altar. However, we should be able to get up, the obsidian path is here, it requires the Archmage's Blood Orb, which is a tier 5 altar. However, we should be able to get to the Worn Stone Path because the Worn Stone Path only requires the Master's Blood Orb, and the Master's Blood Orb can be made in a tier 4 blood altar. It does require the weak blood shard, it does require 40,000 life points, and so we are going to have to do some sacrificing to get up to that point, but it should be very doable. And so what I'm going to do real quick before we do any of that is I'm going to empty my inventory out. I'm going to head back through to this portal for now, because I don't think we need to go back in the future. I think we are pretty much done with the hidden realm here. I think it was mostly just the saturated town we needed, but I'll go back and I'll check out those chests again, and we'll see about just kind of grabbing any loot that we didn't get before, and then we'll come back, we'll tear this down, and we'll look at expanding out that altar. The Twitch chat makes a good point here, in that right at the start of the pack, we did get given a tempad. I have not yet used the tempad. However, what we can do with the tempad is we can head on into the realm here, and if I right-click the tempad, we can click Run Program, New Location, type in something, it doesn't matter what you type in here, I'm going to type in Hidden Realm, and then if we click Add Location, now we can go home. I'm fairly certain that we should be able to destroy the portal here, and once it's destroyed, we should be able to just teleport back using the tempad. So let me get rid of all of this stuff. Perfect. And then now we can still not quite climb back up here because of the fact that there's dirt in the way, but if we quickly break the dirt, we are also going to want to set a home point, because if we don't set a home point, then we're not going to be able to get back out of the hidden realm. And so I think what we want to do is up here, let's go ahead and I'll do it like here. We'll right-click again, Run Program, New Location, Home, Add Location. Now, if I right-click, Run Program, and select Hidden Realm, click Teleport, it's going to open up a portal that takes me right back to the Hidden Realm. Nice. So even if we did need to come back here, we can now do that with the tempad, and then if we right-click again, Run Program, Home, Teleport, walk through the portal, it's going to take us back to home. Nice. So, cool, that's taken care of pretty easily, actually. And then now, back around here, we do still have to fight with getting down here, but now we can look at actually setting up this altar. So for that, I want Stone Path. Now, Stone Path, thankfully, super easy to make. We just need a Blood Orb, and I think the Magician's Blood Orb should work. It does, nice. I don't know why I'm using my andesite, as always. That's never a good idea. We should be using a regular stone where possible. Let's make a bunch of it. 40 is probably excessive, but it's not too expensive. It's just stone. So what we're going to do is over here, we are going to put down an initial 3x3 platform of Stone Path. This doesn't have to be Stone Path. I think it's just going to look a little nicer if it is Stone Path, like this. Then, there are kind of different tiers of the altar. Let me get my Sanguine Centium out again. I keep losing it. It's in here. The different tiers of the altar relate to the different paths here. So, there are a couple of different ways you can do this. You don't necessarily have to zigzag down. There are quite a few like rules about how this can work, and you can have the different levels of the altar go in different directions. Like you'll see here, one way kind of just goes diagonally down, this one kind of goes up and then down, then up and then down, and this one here just goes out in a straight line. So there are a bunch of different ways to set things up. I am going to do it in this way. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. So kind of each tier of the altar goes out by 3 blocks. And the first tier is usually wooden path. Then the second tier can be stone path, then one stone path, then obsidian. You can also use the higher tier paths for the earlier sections of the altar though. And so I'm not going to bother with wooden path. I'm just going to use stone path. And so we've gone down 3 there. We're going to go down 3 on this side here as well. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to do the same on this side. We're going to go 1 and 2 and 3. And then you guessed it, same on this side as well. We're going to go 1 and 2 and 3. None of the dirt here is required, by the way. That's just to allow us to place this down. And then each one of these wants to be 3 wide, like this. And annoyingly, we are 1 stone path shy of being able to make this work. That's fine. We can use a little bit of andesite to make that last stone path, and boom. So now we have space to start putting down tranquil items. Let me get rid of this dirt here as well. Perfect. So the idea is here that we can start using different items to make this area more tranquil. Again, if we check the book, there is a list of all of the items that are tranquil items. It shows it right here. They are lava, water, life essence, netherrack, dirt, farmland, potato, carrots, wheat, netherwort, beetroots, leaves, logs, fire, and grass. And so we have quite a few of those. Let's start with logs. Do we have any leaves? I don't think we do have any leaves, but we could always shear some to get more leaves. And let's do something like this. I'm going to put 2 logs here. Just with those 2 logs there, if we now grab our divination sigil and we right-click on this, you'll see that in the top left, our tranquility has gone up from 0 to 173, and our bonus has gone up from 20 to 31. So we now get 31% more life essence. We can keep going with this. The way it works is that the more of one item you put down, the less tranquility you get from that one item. So we could just put like a ton of dark oak logs down, but we would get less and less tranquility for each dark oak log. So it kind of incentivizes you to mix and match what you put down. For us, I think what we're going to want to do is basically just put down a lot of crops, essentially, because we have the ability to make nature essence fairly easily. And so my thought process here is that if we kind of fill in these areas here with dirt, we can then plant crops on these, and that's going to affect them. The way it works, essentially, is that there are different rings of the altar, if you think of them in rings instead of in levels. This is like the one ring that goes around here, and the stuff in between those rings is what counts. I think it goes 1 up and 1 down, or maybe 2 up and 2 down on each ring. So we're going to put the crops on here. That's going to be part of this ring. We're going to put crops on here. That's going to be part of this ring. And so there are different rings to the altar. We're going to build the altar even bigger using more rings. The bigger rings are where we need the 1 stone. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and put all these down. We could also look at hydrating these, but I really don't think it's going to be that necessary. My main plan here is going to be to grab my hoe, to till all of these, and then to plant different stuff on each ring. So for example, and by each ring I mean each quadrant, I guess. So for example, initially we can go here and we can just plant down some wheat seeds like this. We can then do the same thing on the other sides with potentially, let's say, potatoes, carrots, and beetroots, because if we look, we should be able to craft potatoes, carrots, and beetroot using nature essence. If I'm not mistaken, we can, and we can. We just need 9 nature essence to get all of those, and of course we can grow more of them just by shifting. If we shift here, these are all going to grow. Fantastic. And if we check up here now with our divination sigil, you can see that we're up to a 60% bump already, and we're at 1003 tranquility. So at this point, I think we might be getting close to the limit of the first tier of altar. If I go back down here and we scroll along, if you just have a wooden path, you can only get to 60%. And as I mentioned a second ago, what I've built here, I think, is essentially the same as the wooden path. So I think we need to go further out with more stone path in order to get the 120%, and then we need to get even further with the 1 and even further with the obsidian if we want to get the 200 and 300% bonus. But real quick, let me head on back up to the top, and it's at this point that it's probably worth actually, maybe, I could have just used the 10 pad, I guess, to be honest. But let me get some more nature essence, and let's see about growing some more beetroot, carrots, and potatoes. All right, so a little bit of nature essence later, we can get carrot, we can get potato, and was it just this for beetroot? No, beetroot was this. Yeah, perfect. Cool. So beetroot, we cannot plant directly. We are going to have to crush it. There's only a 10% chance there to get the seed, which is not ideal. Is there a better way of us getting that? It doesn't look like it. We can run it through the botany pot. Like, we could grow it in the botany pot to try and get more. Or we could kind of take our chances here. It's unfortunate because we're not going to get that many more. But let's give it a go. Let me drop all 8 beetroot here into the crushing wheels, and let's see if we get a seed. If we get at least 1 seed, we should then be able to get infinite seeds, basically, after that, because we can get infinite beetroot, and we can crush all of those. Although, I think it's quite likely that we did get nothing there, which is unfortunate. Of course, we can get, let's say, 16 more here, and just kind of throw those down as well. Okay, so it turns out that, I'm being told by the Twitch chat that it doesn't matter if we alternate the crops. Apparently, we can use wheat everywhere, and it's going to give us the same bonus as using a mixture of different crops. The mixture of blocks is still definitely useful, but the mixture of crops, they'll count as the same, apparently. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill all of these in with just regular wheat seeds here, and that should work. We might need some light over here. It's a little dark, which is probably what's causing the issue. Speaking of which, we could probably just grab some torches here and throw those down. Let's say here and here. Fantastic. And then we'll do this. And I don't know why I'm not being able to plant a crop there. But let's just get wheat down on all of these. And then what we'll probably do is look at getting some leaves. So I think what I'll do is I'll just do some tree growing and some leaf shearing to get some leaves down around here as well. And then we'll also go ahead and get some more stone so that we can expand out the path here. We're going to go a little bit further out. I'm not sure if I I'm not sure if I want to keep going diagonally down. I think at some point I might start going out instead of down. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get some more leaves, and we'll get some more stone for more stone path. Okay, so a little bit of stone later. We can make a bunch more stone path. Again, don't want to use andesite, would prefer to use regular stone, and we've got more cooking up as well. I don't know if we necessarily need to use regular stone path or worn stone path just yet, but as I mentioned before, you can use any at any tier, and I completely forgot that the worn stone path is just the regular stone path, but with the higher tier orb, so there's not really much point in not just using a worn stone path. The only trouble, of course, is that in order to get the worn stone path, I first of all need to get back up. I have gone ahead and created a new program down here so that I can use my tempad to get upstairs, and I can also use the tempad to get downstairs if I want. But up here, we can now use our dagger to get slightly more, 60% more, LP in our altar here, and ideally, we want to get 40 buckets into here. So our altar currently only holds 26. It doesn't actually hold 40, which is unfortunate. We are going to need 40 if we want to get the blood orb made, and so we could try and not get more. We could try and just use the dagger kind of fast enough to put blood in, but I think it is probably going to be in our best interest to make a few more runes of capacity to give us a bit more space inside the altar so that we can make the master blood orb and then make our tranquility altar that little bit more effective. Of course, before we do that, chat is right here, actually, that the stone path should be able to get us up to 120%. So before we upgrade, we should be able to do a few more rings. Ooh, and we don't want to be careful not to die here, especially after we've just used our dagger. But we should be able to do a few more rings down here with the regular stone path. So let me do something like this and this. We're going to get rid of the ladders, I guess. And we're probably going to have to get rid of these logs as well. But we'll go ahead and we'll extend this out by a few more rings. Okay, so I've added effectively 2 more rings here. That should take us up, potentially, if I've done that correctly. I think we've got 2 more layers on each side. Essentially, looking in the book here, I thought it was 3 rings per layer, but it's not. It's 3 rings for the initial quote-unquote wooden layer, and then after that, it's 2, 2, and 2. I don't know if you can quite see it on here, but there's like a normal stone path, then worn, then obsidian. So it's 3 wood, then 2 normal stone, 2 worn, 2 obsidian. But again, we're using stone in place of the wooden path, which is fine. You can use any of the higher tier materials for the lower tier rings. So if you wanted to, you could do all of this with obsidian. So I'm hopeful that now we should be able to push the amount that we get from the altar here up a little bit further. I've decided to go straight out here instead of going diagonally down further. So we're going to go 2 out for this, then we'll go 2 further out again once we get the worn stone path, and then eventually we can also go 2 even further out once we have the obsidian. So my thought process is that hopefully we could do something like that. Let me see if that actually has an effect, though, on our percentage. It doesn't. We still seem to be stuck at 60. I think the stuck at 60 there seems to be a problem with the stone path. Oh, I'm a fool, that's why. Hold on, I'm so silly. It needs to be like this. Of course, we need to make it 3 wide. I do this every time. Let me do this and this. And then even without the leaves, I think our tranquility is high enough to where we should get something closer to the 120 boost. It should definitely be higher than 60. 60 is the cap from the wooden path. So if we take a look up here, we are at 120. Nice, we don't even need the leaves, but the leaves are going to help us get up to closer to 200. So just by adding those extra 2 bits of stone path on all 4 sides, we've doubled our percentage from 60 to 120. And so now that we've done that, we can head on back up to the surface, and we can once again do some sacrificing until we have enough LP to make a few more capacity runes, and then hopefully enough LP to get the next blood orb. Alright, so I've made 8 more runes of capacity, and we now have 42 buckets worth of life points in the altar, and so if we drop in the weak blood shard from last episode, that should consume 40 buckets worth of life essence and give us the next tier of blood orb, which is going to allow us to transform any of our path into one path which is then going to allow us to go 2 blocks further out on our altar downstairs, which we can then, of course, use to expand our Tranquility Altar's effect up to that 200% mark, which is the furthest we can get without unlocking the Obsidian Path, which, of course, requires the Tier 5 altar. And the Tier 5 altar is the whole point of the next chapter of the quest book. We should have 4 Bloodstone, actually, still in the system in terms of completing that quest, I would think. Wait, you want me to craft Bloodstone bricks specifically? Fine. There we go. Nice. You don't need to use Bloodstone bricks, as we've shown there, but that is that quest complete. And now the next chapter of the quest line, this one here, is what we're going to start on in the next episode. And this, of course, is having us work towards that Tier 5 altar. After that Tier 5 altar, we could look at upgrading the incense altar downstairs. But here is our Master Blood Orb. We can use this, of course, to craft these worn stone paths. And then if we take our Tempad back downstairs, we should be able to expand our Tranquility here. And you know what? Let's do this as well. I think it looks a lot nicer. So down here, we're going to take our worn stone path, and we're just going to go, not down there, but we're going to go 2 extra blocks out like this. This frame, by the way, was just kind of a frame, just so we could get down here and build. We're probably going to move that, and so I wouldn't worry too much about the fact that kind of the altar overlaps with this Dark Oak log. We can obviously tweak that in the future, but real quick, let me go and add 2 more worn stone paths to each edge here, and then we'll see what our Tranquility is like, and we'll look at increasing the Tranquility if we need to get up to that 200% increase. Okay, so with those extra worn paths, we're at 146, so there is wiggle room now for more Tranquility, and of course, that mostly means just putting down more items that give that Tranquility. So leaves are on the list. We'll go ahead and finish our ring of leaves here, and at that point, I think we've got most of the stuff that is kind of non-nether based. I guess we could try and put some water down potentially as well, actually, if we really wanted to. How much does that affect us? We're at 161. Netherrack does also work, but I think water is probably not a bad idea given how easy it's going to be for us to put a large amount of water down. And so what I guess we could do is we could place down maybe some crimson planks just to kind of keep in the theme. But if we do this, we could then put the water down in this area here. And of course, again, this is going to go. Get rid of that completely. Fill in even more of the crimson planks. And then if we put a block down on this side, for now, I'll probably just put something like cobblestone down here. This is kind of a placeholder for what will eventually be netherrack or soul sand, potentially. Soul sand's probably easier to make, actually. I think we can make soul sand with regular sand. Yeah, we can. And so actually, I might quickly go and look at making some soul sand, because soul sand's gonna actually do something, whereas the cobblestone doesn't really do anything. And then, of course, we can kind of just do something like this, and then kind of expand that around. And this water should, I believe, give us an extra bit of Tranquility. If we go check up at the top here, how are we doing now? Are we closer to 200? We're 177. So yeah, I think surrounding this with soul sand and water is almost certainly going to get us there. All right, so I've gone ahead and built that ring of soul sand and water around the outside edge here, and I believe that should be more than enough to get us up to the 200% mark. It is nice. So going forward, as I mentioned, once we get the Tier 5 altar, we can get the obsidian ring, we can add 2 more to each side, and we can do stuff like light the soul sand on fire, or we can plant nether wart, we can put down netherrack. There's all kinds of stuff that we can still add going forward to increase our percentage even higher, but right now we have our very tranquil altar down here, and if we go back up to the top now via our Tempad, we are now getting 200% extra per heart, and again, we've got 9 hearts in total. So now instead of getting 200, we should be getting an extra 400, so 600 in total, I believe. 600 multiplied by the 9 hearts that we have, and then plus the additional that we get from our Runes of Sacrifice, which I do believe we should make more of at this point. Rune of Sacrifice. These are really self-sacrifice, that is. These are not too difficult to make. Just glowstone and reinforced slates, not even imbued slates. These are pretty straightforward. We should probably start adding those to the blank runes around the outside to even further push the amount of life points that we get. But you'll see there we're up to 11 buckets already with the 1 dagger, which is fantastic. And so, yeah, we're really starting to ramp up the amount of life points that we get via this altar here. And next time, we'll come back and we'll look at starting over here with this Essentia Icolis, maybe, which looks like a custom Tinker's tool made in the Hellfire Forge. And then from there, it looks like we unlock Thermal Expansion, we unlock Refined Storage. We're getting close to unlocking something like Project E as well, with the Transmutation Tablets, the Philosopher's Stone, and the Watch of Flowing Time. And then there's also some power in here as well. Quite a big quest line, quite a lot more expansive than some of the previous quest lines, but we're making good progress here. We do have a slight problem over here with the mob farm, but that's a problem for future Isaac. For now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Project Sacrifice there.